During the WNBA this season, I feel like we sort of had one of those particular growing pains where it's like some of the people that are coming in and watching the sport and are fans of the sport feel like maybe they're there for a weird reason. And now they've found sort of maybe one player to hyper-fixate on that they feel stands at odds with what a WNBA player is in their minds, and they passionately love that player in a way that actually just feels like it's hate being disguised as love that they want to have against the rest of the league. And we sort of had this moment where the rest of the fans had to go like, you paid the same money for your ticket, and you being here is also helpful to the sport. And that's a really difficult thing to do. They had no sort of reverence for the fact that, like, buddy, this conversation's been going on without you for years and years and years. And now you come in here and just think that you can, because you love...
To be honest, it's embarrassing that Sabor just revealed her tactics. There is no space for doubt in her most recent podcast episode. While Caitlin Clark is pushed to the sidelines, she is assembling Team USA around Paige Bucher. The title of the episode says it all. The dialogue itself supports it, and the images make it quite evident. It's not an accident when you purposefully ignore the biggest star in the league. It's a deliberate decision. And that decision is currently backfiring spectacularly. This is the actual question. How long will it take for the public to take notice of the player who essentially saved your league?
Podcast with Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe, and the guest was Katie Nolan, and they were talking about the growing pains in the WNBA, and they decided to put out this clip on their Twitter to promote their new episode with Katie Nolan. So this was a choice for the podcast to use that clip to promote their episode. This is not like someone was clipping it out and it went viral. And I actually went to the main episode to kind of watch that clip in its entirety because I just wanted to make sure that nothing was taken out of context. And to be totally honest with you guys, watching the whole clip made the clip that they put on social media that...
This issue has officially gone from dubious to outright absurd, so let's analyze what just happened on the Subbird show. The title of the episode sums it up well. Paige Buers and a few young players are the main focus of Team USA 2028. The real future of American basketball is not Caitlin Clark. Not even the following generation is taking the initiative. Rather, Paige Bucher's name is prominently displayed, with everyone else falling into a general category of young stars. It is absolutely clear.
The WNBA this season, I feel like we sort of had one of those particular growing pains where it's like some of the people that are coming in and watching the sport and are fans of the sport feel like maybe they're there for a weird reason. And now they've found sort of maybe one player to hyper-fixate on that they feel stands at odds with what a WNBA player is in their minds. And they passionately love that player in a way that actually just feels like it's hate being disguised as love that they want to have against the rest of the league. And we sort of had this moment where the rest of the fans had to go like, you paid the same money for your ticket, and you being here is also helpful to the sport. And that's a really difficult thing to do. They had no sort of reverence for the fact that, like, buddy, this conversation's been going on without you for years and years and years. And now you come in here and just think that you can, because you love this one player, and this one player is very good. She's very, very good. And like, I would love to just openly love them. Those are the types of moments that as a women's sports fan, I like really bristle against, where I'm just like, I hate that we have to go through this, but we do have to go through this. This is the growth period.
However, when you actually watch the program, it becomes even more absurd. They display a visual that contrasts the young intern with the veterans during a scrimmage, highlighting the rising stars. Angel Reese, Jackie Young, and Paige Buchers. Do you see anyone missing? Since I do. Somehow, Caitlin Clark, the athlete who single-handedly changed WNBA attendance, repeatedly shattered viewing records, and converted casual fans into ardent supporters of women's basketball, is left out. This is not a mistake. It's a purposeful rejection.
For a large group of people, mostly that exist online, it wasn't enough, like, love a player, love Caitlin, love whoever you want to love. But it was simultaneously they had to then say that every player that ever came before.
The episode's quality was rough from start to finish. Throughout the entire podcast, Sue Bird couldn't stop gushing over Paige Bueckers, essentially anointing her as the self-appointed captain of the squad. She praised how adorable she is, talked up her competitiveness, and even highlighted moments like breaking ties in scrimmages. It felt less like analysis and more like a campaign pitch. And to be clear, this isn't a knock on Paige as a player. She's talented, she has potential, and she comes across as a good person. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud: you can't manufacture a star. Last season, Paige had the third lowest home game attendance in the league. That matters. You can hype someone all you want, but you can't force fans to care. The audience decides where attention and money goes. And right now, they're not exactly lining up to watch Paige play. What Sue Bird is doing feels like the basketball version of Mean Girls: stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not happening. Fans have already spoken. They know who they want to watch. When Caitlin Clark plays, arenas sell out. When her games air, ratings explode. Even when she's off the court, people follow her team just to stay connected to her journey. That's real star power. That's authentic influence. Yet somehow, the WNBA establishment seems determined to push its chosen narrative instead of acknowledging reality. It's like walking into a restaurant where 45 out of 50 tables ordered tacos, and the manager insists the cheeseburger is the superior choice. Sir, the numbers don't lie. The audience has spoken, and they want tacos.
Sports fandom, a complex experience. I loved that so much. Do say more about that. What feels misunderstood or oversimplified or uncovered?
Yeah, I think like there's so many aspects of this that we could focus on. Like one of them is sports hate. Sports hate is so unique, I think, and it's also, I feel like, healthy in a world that's full of a lot of hate that's very unhealthy and very bad. I think in general, hate I try to shy away from, but you've got, we're humans, so you have to have all range of emotional experiences. And I think one of the safest places to put your hate is like, dude, I hate the fucking Yankees. I hate them so much. I hate them so much that while I'm doing my job and I meet a Yankee, I'm like, no, I don't want to know you. I absolutely hate you. It's based in nothing. If anything were to happen to that person, I wouldn't want them to suffer. But you're just like, it's safe hate is sports hate.
And then if they got traded to the Red Sox, you'd be like, I love you. I love them.
I'd go, give me a second. I'd go, I don't know, give me a second. But I also feel like in terms of, look, sports fans are men, women, non-binary. Anybody can be a sports fan. I think a lot of sports media caters to a specific male audience. And I also feel like that's a male audience that has not been told that their feelings are something that they can experience. And so I think a lot of the time men don't even realize how much of an emotional experience being a sports fan is. And so that's kind of part of my thing, is I just want them to feel like, hey, the way that sports make you feel, we can talk through that. So it's just such a weird experience that people who don't love sports don't understand, but that I want to kind of pick apart.
Let's rewind for a moment, because this isn't Sue Bird's first brush with dismissing Caitlin Clark, or the fans who follow her. Just days before the Paige Bueckers Adoration Fest episode, Sue hosted another podcast where her guests went all in on attacking Clark's supporters. They painted her entire fan base as toxic, aggressive, and driven by questionable motives. And what did Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe do? Nothing. They smiled and let it ride. No pushback. No nuance. Not even a simple, hey, maybe we shouldn't generalize millions of people. That silence is exactly what makes this so frustrating. Both Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe built their careers advocating for women's sports. They constantly talk about growing the game, attracting new fans, and bringing women's basketball into the mainstream. But the moment millions of new fans actually show up, they're suddenly dismissed. Labeled as watching for the wrong reasons. Let's unpack that. The guest claimed new fans only care because they're obsessed with one player who supposedly doesn't fit the WNBA mold. So what exactly is a WNBA athlete supposed to be? Because Caitlin Clark looks like exactly what the league needs: elite talent, relentless competitiveness, marketability, and genuine excitement every time she steps on the court. Her popularity isn't a flaw, it's a solution. But apparently, that's the problem. She's too successful. Too influential. Too magnetic. She attracts fans who don't fit some unspoken definition of a real WNBA supporter, and suddenly that's treated like a crisis. The mental gymnastics here are wild. Clark gets blamed for everything negative: rowdy fans, intense media coverage, on-court incidents, yet she's never credited for the positives. Record-breaking attendance? Massive TV deals? Sold-out arenas? International recognition? Those achievements are conveniently ignored. The cognitive dissonance is Olympic level. Let's talk facts. Before Clark arrived, most WNBA teams outside of the Aces and Liberty struggled to draw even 3,000 fans per game. That's not exaggeration, that's reality. The league was losing tens of millions annually. Coverage was limited, and the average sports fan couldn't name 5 WNBA players. Then Caitlin Clark enters, and everything changes. Search interest explodes. Arenas sell out. Networks compete for broadcast rights. Merchandise flies off shelves. The league's visibility skyrockets. Yet somehow, we're told the WNBA is now less culturally relevant. That argument collapses immediately. Viewership remains strong. Attendance stays high. Engagement is up. Fans are watching games even when Clark isn't playing, because she created the entry point. Yes, many fans came for Caitlin Clark. And then they stayed for the sport. That is literally the ideal growth model for any league. And then it gets absurd. On Sue Bird's podcast, a guest claimed Clark's fans are expressing hatred disguised as affection. That's nonsense. Nobody buys jerseys, travels across states, watches hours of basketball, and follows a career out of hate. These fans are real. Their excitement is genuine. Labeling it as hidden animosity isn't just offensive, it's strategically stupid for a league trying to expand. Here's the reality of large fan bases: even a tiny fraction of bad behavior looks massive. If 0.01% of Clark's fans are disruptive, that's still thousands of loud voices online. Every megastar deals with this. LeBron, Brady, Taylor Swift. Popularity comes with noise. The guest even admitted receiving threats from multiple fan groups, including Clark's, Angel Reese's, and Liberty fans. That's unacceptable across the board. But framing Clark's supporters as uniquely toxic is bias. Call it out evenly, or don't at all. And let's not ignore the power dynamics. Sue Bird isn't neutral. She runs Team USA. She influences rosters, narratives, and platforms. By spotlighting Paige Buchers, erasing Clark from discussions and graphics, and amplifying voices that frame Clark's influence as a problem, she's actively shaping the story. Clark has appeared on Sue's podcast multiple times. She's been professional, respectful, and generous with her time. And how is that repaid? By disparaging her fan base and sidelining her impact. The message is clear: Sue has decided who she wants as the face of the future, and she's pushing that vision regardless of performance, numbers, or fan demand. The uncomfortable truth? The WNBA establishment is intimidated by Caitlin Clark. She didn't wait her turn. She didn't ask permission. She showed up and immediately became one of the league's best guards. She disrupted the hierarchy, and fans loved it. And the irony? Many of these conversations are happening on platforms that exist in their current form because Caitlin Clark helped expand the league's reach in the first place. If you see through this nonsense, you already know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe for more unfiltered takes.